Sexual health. This is a concept that is relatively new. Sure, Masters and Johnson spoke about sexual function. Dr. Ruth brought the conversation about intimacy into the everyday sphere. Many companies have sold sexual products to the populace for decades. But the concept that sexuality and sex can be part of your overall health and well-being, this is a relatively newer concept. Do you prioritize intimacy in your life? Do you prioritize pleasure? Welcome to Gyno Curious. I'm your host, Dr. Amy Novatt. From both sides of the speculum, we're here to investigate what it means to be a healer and to be healed. Please send your comments to comments@radiofreerhiniecliff.org or to gynocurious@gmail.com. Please consider giving us 5 stars on whatever app you're on. I am so excited to have the co-founders of Upstate Mary here with me today. Michelle Bergkamp and Melissa Eppard are here to talk about their company, their friendship, and to talk about sex and products that help support users to find pleasure and wellness. Welcome, Michelle and Melissa.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for having us here. I really enjoyed my first conversation with you about my breast cancer history, and I'm so thrilled to be inviting my dear friend Michelle here to join us.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you so much, Amy, for having us this morning. We can't wait to dive in.
It's my pleasure. So I have to start by revealing that I am a biased interviewer. I have tried your products and I really love them.
All right.
Jen, our producer, is also a fond user. So we're a group of women in this studio today who are just very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
But I have no financial interest in the company. Mm-hmm. I am a proud supporter of Upstate Mary in using your products and telling others about them, but I want the audience to know I have no financial interest. Okay?
Okay.
That's so doctor of me. You know, I have to reveal my associations. Okay. So rather than me telling the listeners about who you are, I'm going to ask you to kind of introduce yourself and about your journey to founding and launching Upstate Mary.
Boy, this is our origin story. I don't think we've
That's
ever had
right.
a chance to talk about this.
Yeah,
Ooh, I'm
we
so
have
excited.
Yeah. I mean, Michelle and I go way back. Like, we met in our early 30s. We were, just, young women. We'd be hiking around. We didn't have kids yet. We would share in our, kind of dreams of our future and kind of imagine, wouldn't it be cool? We got pregnant at the same time.
Yeah,
Imagine
the same
raising our
time.
kids together. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up actually getting pregnant within 6 months of each other. Yeah.
We did. And so then our journey in becoming moms and everything in between, wives, right? And yeah.
So we, hiking around the Catskills and the Hudson
Something
Valley.
that we love to do is being outdoors, for sure.
Yeah.
And which led to...
Gosh, fast forward, our kids were like 10, 11, our oldest, when we started exploring this idea of creating this company. I knew about the benefits of using CBD topically for pain and inflammation, but it never occurred to me to use it as a lube. And something that I love about Michelle, she's kind of sneaky. Like, she'll be working on things and scheming and have this whole, she bought a boat and was down in the marina. And I'm like, when did you buy a boat? I didn't know you knew how to boat. What are you doing? She approached me, it was about 2 years ago, with this idea to launch a company that used CBD in a lube format. And just a major light bulb went off for me. I'm like, how come I've never heard of this or tried used CBD-based lube? And it turns out we weren't the very first people to do this. There were a couple on the market. But
we had a long time of exploring the lubes that were on the market, and we found deficiencies with all of them. And so we wanted to take that and elevate it and create something that was just perfect, that smelled delicious, right? Tasted delicious. And also worked, and it was clean in the sense that we work with a certified organic farm for sourcing our CBD, and it had to be it had to not absorb too quickly. That was another issue we found with some of them, or weird chemicals like additives that we weren't sure what they were. That was a weird one.
why are some of these lubes, why do they taste so gross?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if you're doing it right, it's going to get in your mouth. So.
You're gonna taste it.
So I'm going to back us up a little bit because what I love about your origin story, which I think may be true, but you're going to all correct me if I'm wrong. I think women or vulva havers tend to, not all of us, but tend to have a way of talking to each other about intimacy and sex in a way that penis havers, I don't think, do. I think they might be, joking about the size of their, organs, so to speak, but I'm not sure they're sitting down and really talking about erectile dysfunction, for example, with each other. So I guess I want to ask you guys, when you guys first started talking about this, was there some hesitancy about sharing your sexual stories and experiences, or were you friends and women who were like, I can talk about it anytime, anywhere with anyone?
Well, I think, though, that a lot of what we come to find is that a lot of women are having similar experiences, certainly as we age. But, postpartum for me, so, after childbirth, I had some major issues and really suffered from painful penetration and, quite frankly, painful sex. It just didn't feel good anymore in that way. And I had a lot of anxiety around sex, and I love my husband dearly. We have an incredible relationship, and sex is a big part of it. And so coming from that perspective, I wanted to also see if the true therapeutic benefits of CBD would help personally me in that area. And it did. And so that's why for me, going into detail and explaining to Melissa and to others, there were quite a number of women that were suffering from, painful penetration, or whether it's from vaginal dryness or, other issues. And so we just...
Yeah. And I was like deep into the throes of menopause induced from chemotherapy. I went into menopause at 36. And so by the time we started exploring this together, I was already 7 or 8 years into menopause, and very, very frank and honest in my blog and with my friends about the sexual dysfunction that brought into my life. So I know that you also had a history with like polycystic ovary syndrome. So I think historically, there were a lot of challenges we had. And like you said, Amy, a lot of women, we are comfortable sharing in that discomfort with each other in our small circles. So just to normalize that conversation and bring those ripples of conversation out further to the community is really important to us. Like to normalize this is an actual issue, and there are options, and you don't have to suffer alone.
Right.
Yeah, that's so great. So Upstate Mary has 3 main products, Friday, Slide, and Hunter. Can we talk about what they are? And of course, I want to hark back to the ladies said that they like to hike, and these are names of mountains in the Catskills, which I think is brilliant. So what is Friday, for example?
Well, that one's my personal favorite. That's our arousal oil.
And maybe mine too.
Yeah.
Although I will tell you that, Hunter, we can go.
Yes.
We'll go dive back into that. But go ahead.
So Friday is our arousal oil. We sell it. It's in a 30 milliliter bottle. We have like a little sample size that we occasionally give out to 5 milliliter. But it's the base is organic MCT coconut oil with full spectrum CBD. And then it's got a couple botanicals in there, essential oils that are meant to aid in arousal. So slightly warming, but also give like a rich, chocolatey, delicious flavor and scent profile, but using organic essential oils. And we also wanted to be really careful that what we formulated wouldn't disrupt the microbiome or create any kind of like yeast issues. TMI, but I'll be like the first person to have like a yeast infection if I use something that's irritating to my system. And so I haven't had any problems with this. I think too with the coconut oil is like a natural like antifungal, antibacterial. So it does help with that too.
And CBD is a vasodilator, which also can help increase, does increase the diameter of blood vessels and improve blood flow to the areas where applied topically. And so obviously this is especially important when we think about, sexual arousal and also staying aroused. So,
and again, with the
so
benefits of like the pain relieving,
right? Obviously, inflammation.
Yeah. So that's Friday in a nutshell.
Friday.
But not everybody
and it smells
likes.
delicious.
Yeah, it does. It does. Not everybody likes scent, though. Not everybody. Some people just are really, really sensitive, and they don't want any essential oils. So that's why we created Slide. It's also a 30 ml bottle, and that is just the CBD and MCT coconut oil. So we think of that, like we called that our intimacy oil, but it's really an everyday oil. Like Michelle and I use it on our faces and a little in our hair, and you could use it on
you can incorporate it with your massage oil as well.
And what's MCT?
It's like, I forget what it's like micro fractionated, or like I'd have to look it up right now.
Okay, so it just means something that's been, that's organic, that it is a natural product. Yeah, I don't know what MCT is.
Medium chain triglyceride.
Oh,
yes,
that's
thank you.
Okay, that I know about.
Can you ask me again? Let's scratch that.
There we go.
Yeah, let's scratch that. Oh, good. The one that we're using, ingest it.
Right.
So it's
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
So food grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And Hunter is.
Michelle's got a great Hunter story.
I actually just had an incredible Hunter experience. I got my period yesterday. So with that tends to come, cramping and discomfort, especially now that I'm in the perimenopause stage here. And I always used Hunter as like a quick, easy, discreet way of lubrication.
It's a suppository.
And it is a suppository, by the way. And so instead, I used it yesterday to see if it would provide some relief, because obviously we know the pain relief and the therapeutic benefits of the CBD. And it did. I was actually experiencing some discomfort, and it really, really helped with that.
Your low back
It helps with my low back, actually.
Wow, that's great.
I had some like twinging kind of going on in my low back, and it really provided some amazing relief. And so the benefit with the suppository is actually when it's inserted into the vagina, the CBD suppositories bypass the digestive system and liver metabolism. So that allows for rapid absorption of the CBD into the bloodstream. And so this direct delivery method ensures the maximum bioavailability, meaning that more of the CBD reaches the target receptors in the body and more quickly too. So it's a very, like I said, quick way to get that relief. And also with the suppository, it does provide incredible moisture, immediate moisture too. So for the lubrication aspect of it and why we used it for that purpose, right? Initially, it does that in terms of providing great lubrication.
We should, Amy, we should talk about the endocannabinoid system a little bit.
I was just going to say, despite there being a dispensary basically almost on every corner now of almost every city I've traveled to, there may be folks out there who don't realize that CBD and THC are two different phenomena, or chemicals, I should say. So why don't you, Melissa, tell us about, let me ask you a question. Do people get high from using these products?
No, you do not get high from using our products or CBD products. We have, and there's some differentiation between what are different types of CBD. We are full spectrum. You may have heard of broad spectrum. Some products out there claim to have CBD, but they're just have hemp seed oil, which has no therapeutic benefit. So, people have heard about the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, but you also have this endocannabinoid system in your body, which means you have these binding sites and receptors all throughout your body, in your brain, and also in your vulva, in your genitalia, male and female genitalia. So when you use CBD, the plant itself, the marijuana plant, the hemp plant, it has over, I think the last count I heard was like 113 different phytocannabinoids.
Yeah, they're still being discovered.
Right, they are.
Yeah.
And so when you incorporate full spectrum CBD, it has 0.3% THC. There's like tiny, tiny trace amounts. And the reason it's beneficial to leave that is you have what's called an entourage effect, where that works with the other phytocannabinoids in the plant to help magnify them. So they're all working together so that they're connecting with those binding sites in your body, and really you're getting the maximum benefit by leaving that trace amount of THC. So what's the overall benefit? Like we've been studying CBD since 1940. I think a lot of that data has been suppressed because of the taboo around marijuana and like, you know, reefer madness and a lot of fear around it.
Right.
Yeah. You want to say something?
Oh, no, I was just, keep going.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Michelle's actually like quite the scientist, and she likes to put me on stage and like, you speak, Michelle, or Melissa, but I know that
No, it's good. You're doing great.
You're both doing great.
Yes, we're good.
Yeah. So we have this endocannabinoid system. I think like you see it in seniors. When seniors start taking CBD orally, it can help with things like mood and memory and sleep and anxiety. So we're using this, applying it to the genitalia, and guess what? It's also can have this relaxing effect on the body. It can help with arousal. It can help
reduce stress and anxiety.
and also have this like sexually stimulating effect.
Exactly.
So we had so much fun in developing this. Like
Oh,
we had
good.
like a
I want to talk
whole-
about the beta testing.
Yes, there was like a year of R&D. Our poor husbands really made guinea pigs out of them.
Yeah.
Did your partners have any reluctance about your kind of going down the sexual pathway, if you will, and being very open about it? Obviously, with these products in the world at large.
I don't think so.
no,
Joey
they've been pretty
never
supportive.
expressed
Yeah.
any hesitation. You know, I think if it meant having more sex, like he was all for it.
Exactly, right? No complaints on my end either. No, I mean, I feel like being able to, have these open conversations, we really are quite lucky. And thank you so much for providing a platform for us to do so, Amy. And yeah, I mean, like I just said before, as we keep talking about this and we keep hearing other stories, we realize how similar we all are, that we may have had similar experiences. And so if there's a way that we can help women, and provide relief so that we can connect more intimately with our partners and with ourselves, then this is what we want to do.
Absolutely.
So-
It's so interesting to kind of look at the arc of this conversation around sex over time. And the younger generation is having a much easier time talking about sex, sexuality, gender, et cetera. I think they're setting a really great high bar for all of us to kind of figure out how to communicate about this in an everyday way. But still,
I hope so. I
Yeah,
want
I
to
hope so.
interject and say
Yeah.
I have seen some things like, this TikTok trends that go around about being like demure and being like a stay-at-home girlfriend. Like, I don't know, is that a backlash to women being more liberated and giving voice to their desires? Like, I hope not.
it's an interesting duality going on right now. I mean, look at
That's a whole other
we're-
podcast,
We're talking, on November 16th after a very, very impactful election that we don't know how it's going to impact women's health, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about women's health. We're talking about women's pleasure. We're talking about the independence of finding wellness in our sexual lives that in the past was particularly repressed. So I think it's just so important that, again, Gyno Curious, Upstate Mary, all these different companies and sites are talking about this out loud.
Yeah.
Because you're right, Michelle. I mean, if you haven't had a baby, you're going to go through the menopause. If you, have had a baby, almost everyone I know who nurses will describe how difficult it is to have intercourse or penetrative sex after, while nursing because of the effects on the estrogen levels in the vagina, et cetera, et cetera. So there are these, universal phenomenons for vulva havers that it's kind of amazing. This hasn't been discussed before, but I can tell you, even in the community of physicians, and I've said this so many times, Jen's probably tired of hearing me say this, physicians were never taught to talk about sex. There was no education, even in our residencies, about sex. It was just assumed you'd take, I don't know, maybe your personal knowledge and bring it into the clinical setting. Of course, that's kind of insane because all of us clinicians are individuals, all of with different storylines around sex and sexuality and experiences. There are plenty of physicians who have also had trauma around sex.
Right.
Certainly trauma around gynecological exams if they're vulva havers. And so it's such a terrible offense to vulva havers how little conversation there is. So, we're here to talk about pleasure. We're here to talk about wellness. And I want to make sure that we talk about that because you guys have a quote. First of all, I want to know who's your wordsmith because you guys use great language in your site. So who's your wordsmith?
Well, yeah, both of us actually. We do everything together, right?
It's
Melissa?
great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Go through lots of rounds of editing and
It's great. So you talk about prioritizing pleasure is self-care.
Right.
Can we talk about that, please?
I have one even better than that. So my birthday was on November 6th.
Oh.
And it was a very weird birthday this year.
Yeah.
And I like to come up with a mantra or some kind of, quote to refer back to as the year goes on. And the one that came to me this year is my radical act of resistance is to stay in pleasure. So I'm going to stick with that this year.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
We are. We're going to stay in pleasure. And we're going to...
It's something you have to choose again and again. And it like pulls you up when you need it. And it's when you feel the most resistant to pleasure is when you need to dig deep and find that in again. And it may not be sexual pleasure.
No.
Yes, but sexual health is mental health. It's physical health. It's all interconnected. So when women experience an orgasm, they get a surge of neurochemicals. It's this release of dopamine and endorphins and those feel-good neurotransmitters that make them want more pleasure, right? So pleasure begets more pleasure. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? You lose the desire, you lose the elasticity in your vulva. Yeah. You have more you want to say to that, Michelle?
Well, just that, and going back to prioritizing pleasure and how in self-care is just that, we automatically think of self-care as, face masks or going to bed early or taking a spa day or a yoga class, which are all wonderful things that we can do and experiencing self-care and pleasure in that way. But as Melissa mentioned, the big O, that's a huge benefit to our minds and bodies. And one thing that you did mention is those feel-good hormones, right, that are released. But also, if you can't sleep, sex could also be your helper here. So again, going back into stress and anxiety, which is also a way to alleviate that through, self-care and taking care of ourselves. But having orgasms is a great way to do that and also helps with sleep.
And we like to tell people too when we meet them at our table when we're doing events or people coming up to us, we say partner is optional, pleasure is not. So if you're a single person out there listening to this, you can still have great orgasms and be putting pleasure on the table.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be taken off a table just because you don't have a partner. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that seems obvious to say, but I feel I have met women who they're like, "What are you doing? What are you selling here?" And we tell them what we're making, and it breaks my heart to see some women just immediately walk away. Oh no, I don't need that. That part of my life is over. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here if you
need me.
Listen,
I'm probably the eldest in the room here. And there's no question that my body changed a great deal with the menopause. And it was, I don't know how many times I've had a conversation in the office about decreased libido and changes in the way sexual pleasure is obtained. But when I went through it, it was one of those things like, holy shit. This is real.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all that lusty, juicy, ooh, look at that.
You don't have that spontaneous desire.
It goes
anymore.
away.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or it changes. It doesn't, for some it goes away. For others, it just diminishes. But it shifts. And it's hard to imagine it before you go through it. It's kind of like all of a sudden losing the capacity to smell chocolate. It's like, whoa, where'd that go?
Well, I don't want that to ever.
I know. So part of what I want to make sure we talk about today is, as much as it feels like it might be an effort to use the suppository, for example, on a regular basis to keep the vagina lubricated and moisturized, or, oh, I've got to use a lubricant when I have sex now. What a drag. I used to just get wet. I want to say to everyone out there, yes, it's an effort. And yes, it's another thing I got to think about. I got to go to my cabinet and I got to find
But you
it.
put your face cream on.
Exactly.
It's
And
just part of the routine.
if the end result
Incorporate it,
is
yeah.
pleasure, guess what? All those little steps that got you there are kind of disappear. I kind of think about it. It's kind of a weird analogy, and it just came to my head. So disagree with me if you will. It's kind of like all the pain we experience when we give birth. And we're like, I'll never do that again. And all of a sudden you have this baby in your arms and you live with this child and you fall in love deeply, deeply. And all of a sudden you have another. Or, you're like, there's an amnesia to it. Yeah. Not that we forget about painful sex. But again, the rituals can change.
Yes.
So you used to have sex in one way. Well, now you have sex in another way. And again, I also want to point out that does penetration have to be a part of every sexual encounter? No. Of course not. Of course not. We have a lot of erogenous zones. So find them, enjoy them, mix them up. But products
your
like
clitoris is your best friend.
I back us up a little bit. For those of you out there who don't know where your clitoris is, look it up because you're right, Melissa. It's a source of great pleasure. It's neurologically, full of nerves more than any other organ in the body.
Like 6,000 nerve endings,
yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
9,000.
No, I
it's
think
a
it's
lot.
10,000.
It's a lot.
It
I don't
went from
remember
the
now.
science was like
It was
six.
initially they said 8,000, and then I believe now that they've deemed it
like
10,000.
10,000.
Yeah, it's there's so much we're learning about these body parts. But I'm going on and on because I want to make sure that we remind everyone out there that we're all a little different, that we're all trying to figure out our own personal journey. We've all been affected by different things, and some universal, some individual.
Right.
But that taking time to listen to this podcast, taking time to go out and get some Upstate Mary products and trying them. Again, what I love about Upstate Mary products is they're not huge bottles. So, if you don't like it, one, you can share it with somebody else. But two, that you get to try it, enjoy it, or maybe not. Everybody's got a different need. Some people, Melissa, right? They love all those products with perfumes and stuff. But I'm here to say, as a gynecologist, please, 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 products like Upstate Mary's are clean. They've been tested. And I want to talk about the farm where you get your CBD because that's part of the beauty of the process by which you guys make your products.
Yes, it's a farm here in the Hudson Valley.
And it's woman-owned, multi-generational. They have a really amazing social equity ethic. They pay a living wage to their employees, their farmers, and they play music for their plants. It's just, I love that whole backstory.
Yeah. And we just love to support, other women-owned businesses, endeavors.
And they grow a lot of food for the community, too. They're growing food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love the way you've integrated it all. I like that you integrate the mountains of your, the backdrop of your hometown, that you clearly are dear friends, which just, brings tears to my eyes because whenever, again, in a world of so much disharmony, when we can see people be together in a positive, supportive way, it's so lovely. And again, your product is about exploring all of it: aging, change, sex, intimacy, and ways of, again, being healthy in a kind of an overall basis, overall wellness. So thank you. Yeah.
Melissa always says, she's always said, let us, help take your sexy back. And of course, after cancer, but it's also, taking your sexy back after kids, after aging, after menopause, or whatever obstacles come along your way on your journey and through this life here.
Yeah.
And everyone deserves that. So
Yeah. Will you say something about the names of the products? Michelle's got a good little backstory on the different mountain peaks that we selected as the names of our products.
Oh, please. That would be great.
Well, first of all, we would love to take you to your orgasmic summit.
Yeah.
So that's what we are all about. Because if you've ever hiked a mountain, to the top of a mountain, the journey is long sometimes, right? And when you get to the top, it is an orgasmic experience, right? It's, I did it, I made it, and you have this incredible view at the top, right? And so that's what we wanted to kind of embrace when naming our products. And Friday Mountain is one of the high peaks of the Catskills. They're all one of the high peak. All of our products are named after high peaks of the Catskills, which are 3,500 feet or higher. And we have the 3,500 Club, right? So anyway, long story long here is that Slide Mountain is actually the highest peak of the Catskills. And so Slide is our, everyday and intimacy oil. And
it's like you're working really hard, but it's worth it once you get there,
once you get there. Yeah, for sure. So,
and Friday is like the steepest.
It's the steepest, and also there's a bushwhacking part to it as well. So you really have to. It's a challenge to navigate your way through. But again, we're all about. Getting to more O's, I guess you could say, right?
There was no pun intended there, was there?
But Friday, right? And
make every day Friday.
Make every day Friday. Make every day Friday.
And we love our tagline, farm to bedroom.
Oh, I love it. I
farm to
know.
bedroom.
I know. Some of the language you use is just great. I have to share a quote with the audience. So from the website, quote, Upstate Mary is here for toe curling, back arching, oh my godding fun with organic, eco-friendly vibes from our farm to bedroom collection. I just want to say, as I read that descriptive, I was getting pleasure. It was just so
you can
visual.
Visualize it. Yeah.
So visual. So thank you. Yeah. So you guys have a new kind of stunning piece of jewelry that I think we need to share with the audience. Can you tell us about that? Because where did jewelry come into the world of sex toys? Or sex pleasure, or sex lubricants.
Well, we wanted something that was beautiful, discreet, and also worked with our products. So when you use oil-based lubes, it can, over time, degrade silicone products, silicone toys. So, I mean, we... Personally,
just wash your toys, guys.
Just wash your toys, exactly. But we did want something that was
gentle
totally
soap and water. You do
compatible.
not astringents, just to give that fit in there.
And the other thing too is, again, with our, pleasure is, partner is optional, pleasure is not. So going within that, we also wanted to, people to be able to incorporate toys with our products with either their partner or with themselves, right? And so we found a compatible personal vibrator. It has 8 powerful settings, including a pulsing setting. It's very, very discreet. It's a beautiful necklace, and we have it available in 3 different options: gold, rose gold, and silver. So you could get one for every outfit even.
That's
I mean,
right.
Whatever you're wearing silver today, okay, I'm wearing the silver one.
It's so funny, though.
And you can take him hiking too. I mean, really, that's what I will tell you, that I enjoy pleasure in the woods. So
yeah. I know people can't see it, but I
know.
We did this event and I demoed it, and
can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mic is getting some pleasure at the moment.
The mic is vibrating. Yeah.
It's so funny though. So that's called our Vibe. We have the Vibe, but I was wearing this other piece that we sell, and it's called our Breathe. And I had it on the other day, and I saw my mom. My mom doesn't really know the difference between our 2 different necklaces. She's like, "You pervert!" And but this is we call it our Breathe, because your brain is your biggest sex organ. And if you're full of stress and anxiety, I'm sorry, the rest is not happening.
That's right.
Yes.
And so I love this. It's like the modern day equivalent of breathing into a paper bag. It just like slows your breath down. You take a deep breath in, and you do 2 or 3 exhales, exhaling fully. And I feel it in the back of my skull when I use it. I think it releases like the vagus nerve. I believe that's what's happening. And I just feel like my nervous system calms and resets. So I like to use this when I'm driving and people are tailgating me and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Like I just calm myself down, and then I can get home and start my day. And
So just to describe it, it's just I think it's about 2.5 inches long. It's just a small cylinder. Melissa's wearing one that's silver. And so
I'm wearing one that's gold.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks
But it's
like
much
a little
sexier than a paper bag. So.
Much sexier. the images I just had in my head. Anyways. Yeah, it's funny. Gynocurious has had several conversations about the value of breathing and breath.
yes.
And so I love that you've brought this into this conversation, Melissa, because you're right. Our mind is so much a part of our sexual experiences. And that's speaking to kind of figuring out how to respond to trauma, how to respond to pain, how to respond to histories of pleasure, how to respond to different partners. It's all kind of in the mind. And so being able to quiet the mind when there's fear or anxiety or stress is so much a part of sexual play and arriving at pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, there is this whole intersection between self-care and sensuality, sexuality. So if we can start from a place of like making that U-turn back to ourselves, and I'm choosing to like first name and notice what's happening in my system right now. I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I'm overstimulated, I'm burnt out, I'm tired, whatever. I know how to take care of it. And then that kind of levels the field, and now I can prioritize and make room for pleasure.
Yeah.
Like I can even entertain the idea, right? It's not like the last rung on the ladder.
Great. So I want to just remind everyone we're talking to Upstate Mary co-founders, and we want you to know about their products, which are lubricants and moisturizers. And ladies, how do people get these products? Where do they go?
So we are at upstatemary.com. We have a Shopify site, so you can buy directly from our site. But we're also in dispensaries from Albany down to New York City. Locally here in the Hudson Valley, we are now at Sunflower Natural Foods. We're at Woodstock Spa, Woodstock Infusions. Where else, Michelle? There's a couple other places. We're going to be at...
during the season, we're at the Omega Institute.
Yep, in the bookstore there. We'll be at Etain soon. Up in Albany, we love Royale Flower. We're going to be this is probably an evergreen show, right? So, but we do some in-store appearances sometimes. So you can go to our events page on our website and see if we're going to be at a
And if you're listening and you would like to carry our line, then feel free to reach out to us and we will we'll chat.
Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And just to remind everyone too, these wonderful women are holding different events that address a lot of different things. I was just at an event where the M Factor, the film about the perimenopause and menopause, was held and discussed. And it's again an opportunity for people to gather. The vast majority of the audience were vulva havers, but an opportunity for people to just continue to learn and explore all kinds of issues that are about our body and our wellness.
I want to give a shout out to Melissa Gibson at Hemp and Humanity. That's another place in Woodstock where you can find our products. She's just been an amazing cheerleader for Upstate Mary and also
an incredible cannabis resource too.
Yeah, and for the community. She's been hosting, I don't know how long now, these cannabis roll call events for the community, which has been just an incredible resource, bringing people in the cannabis field together to network and share resources, and really appreciate her work.
Great. So we're coming to a close, and I like to end Gynocurious actually talking about pleasure. So I can glean that you both get pleasure from your friendship, from being outdoors and hiking, from building this incredible company together. But if you had to individually tell me one more thing that gives you pleasure, that you seek out in your life and make sure that it's there, what would you say it is? Michelle, I'm going to put you on the spot first.
Really good question.
I know you have been working out at the gym a lot and trying to like loop me in and getting me to go with her. Like we belong to the same gym, and I just hit the ground running in the morning, and I'm just so busy. But I know I always feel so much better.
So good. It feels so good. And it's actually something that I do with my husband, which
get all sweaty together.
Yeah, we do. We get all sweaty, and and then we go home and get sweaty again. No,
Excellent.
It has become a part of my routine, and I feel different, you know, if I don't get some exercise that day, and whether it's walking or hiking or something too. But yeah, I really have been enjoying the gym and just getting healthy and strong.
Great. Yeah. Movement is such an important part of our well-being, no matter which way you do
it. Talking about self-care, right? So it's exercise is a part of that. So Yeah, thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it does
And
make
you?
a big difference.
So I'm kind of like this type A, like workaholic. And I'm going to admit, I really derive a lot of pleasure from my coaching work. Like when I'm talking with my coaching clients, I do a lot of work with other cancer survivors, but not all of my clients are cancer survivors. I just feel so energized and really feeds my spirit to know that I'm helping others. I know that seems a little weird. It's not, honestly not a shameless plug of my coaching work, but it just feeds me. I really enjoy doing it.
And
I
she's
totally
incredible.
get it. Oh,
So let's just say,
let's
just end it there. She's incredible.
I
So,
know.
thanks.
No, I mean, I have to say, when people ask what gives me pleasure, I was like, my work. And I know that sounds paradoxical, but I love helping women heal. It gives me, it's not I almost feel selfish at times because it gives me so much
joy.
pleasure
Yeah.
and joy and satisfaction. So I get it. And so thank you for contributing to the world in all the ways that you both do.
Yeah.
So I want to also thank my listeners. Is there anything more you want to make sure we say before we say goodbye today?
No, but just life is short, and you might as well enjoy the ride. And if you're if you're not, then what the fuck's it for? No, just kidding.
Yeah,
No,
you go.
just totally. Let's get rid of that. But I just want to say that that life is short, and to enjoy the ride, essentially. Yeah.
And I want to go back to that idea too of just staying in pleasure. It's not just lip service. It's not just something I'm just saying and making up just to have a kind of neat tagline. It's how do you choose it again and again? And it's hard sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The world feels very heavy at times. And so finding a moment of pleasure, again, there's an element of work. There's an element of conscious choice around it. But
And
again,
it's not this frivolous, like just
Right.
me time. It's there is more of you. You are more impactful when you are tuned in
right.
and turned on.
That's right. Amen. Okay, great.
Tuned in and turned on.
I love that.
I love it.
That.
Yes.
That might just be the name of this episode. All righty. Well, thank you to
Yes,
both of
thank
you.
you.
Thank you to the listeners. Thank you to my co-producers, Matt Rosenberg and Jen Hammoud. Thank you to the Epicurean for having us here. And until our next episode, please stay well. Listen to your instincts and intuitions. They are the greatest of teachers, not to be ignored.